Slash and Burn is a podcast about fanfiction. It is filled with loud swearing and explicit sexual description. It is not for children, nor the weak of stomach, nor will. Although we attribute to authors as best we can, we have no legal rights to the written works we discuss, nor the characters and universes upon which they are based. We also firmly believe that as long as what you're doing isn't hurting anyone else, whatever you do to get your jollies is all well and good. Join us and have some laughs over the world of fanfic. And seriously, this shit is filthy. You've been warned. Welcome to the magical realm. Welcome back, everybody. It's been like a year since our last recording, but we're feeling reinvigorated and we have a producer now, so this is going to be a weekly fucking thing, I swear.
We're going to do it. We're getting it done.
Once again, I am Steve.
I'm Kira.
And this is Slash and Burn, where we talk about slash fiction, fan fiction, all the good and the bad. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and you have a podcast. And for this week, we're diving into a total classic. So if you listen to the first couple of episodes, we believe that they are going to be released as episode 0 and episode 1, because episode 0 went for like double infinity number of minutes.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to cut it down, but we think there's some gems in there. So listen to episode 1, which is going to be the Lord of the Rings episode.
The one that actually is kind of like some semblance of an actual
thing. The ones
thing.
that's sort of coherent.
Yeah.
And if you like it, we think that you will also enjoy episode 0. Just keep in mind that it's 4 times as long and thrice as rambly. But so we're going to release them that way. Episode 0 is unofficial. But if you're a fan, then go back and listen to it. So this is officially episode 2.
Yes.
But if you listen to the first 2, you'll know the premise, but I'll recap it just in case you didn't. I am a fan fiction newbie. I never really bothered much with reading any of it, but my co-host spent the majority of her teens, 20s, and currents.
Yeah. I read a lot more fan fiction than I would ever admit to.
Plumbing the depths of fandoms far and wide. And for our first 2 so even though I don't really know a whole lot about fan fiction, I'm the rube, as it were, and she's the expert. Our first 2 subjects were both things that we both had a pretty good grasp on, at least outside of the realm of fan fiction. They were Sonic the Hedgehog and The Lord of the Rings, and all versions of Tolkienism, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mostly The Lord of the Rings. But we were both pretty well acquainted with both of those. This time, Kira thought that it would be fun to tackle something that she's not really familiar with at all. And I thought that would be pretty cool, too. Kind of put the shoe on the other foot, at least in one aspect. So we decided to go with the Dragon Ball universe. Mm-hmm. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people your Dragon Ball experience prior to this research session?
I saw, I think, 2 episodes. It was on Adult Swim, I believe, before something that no, not even Adult Swim. I'm sorry. I'm not going back far enough. Toonami. Yeah, it was on Toonami before something that I watched. I can't remember what it was.
Wing.
Probably Gun and Wing.
It was Gun and Wing.
I watched that show many, many times through. But so I thought, well, this is a pretty popular thing, and it's on. I might as well give it a watch. And then I watched it, and like the whole episode was just like some dude with really big hair standing across from some like alien-looking dude with a tail, like talking about how they were gonna beat each other up or whatever. And like the whole episode was like that. And I was like, surely this has to be some sort of fluke. So the next day I decided to try it again, and it was like a continuation of the same conversation, and they still just stood there like it was a different conversation, but it was exactly the same. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm totally done with this, and never watched it again. And so that is my experience.
Those of us who watched the whole thing backwards and forwards a couple dozen times can tell you that 5 minutes, I'm making air quotes, on Planet Namek did stretch for about 45 or so episodes. There was a lot of talking, and when the fight happened, it was boss as hell.
Yeah, I bet
Just
it
took
was.
a long time to get there.
Sure. Also, I don't like the animation style.
Yeah,
for the record, it's horrible.
I remember having that conversation with you a long time ago. Now, if you don't know what Dragon Ball Z is, or Dragon Ball, I mean, that's a pretty good summation of it. Those guys with big hair, and they like to fight. They spend a lot of time talking about how they're going to fight, and then they also spend a lot of time grunting and heaving and making noises while they power up to fight.
That's kind of a lot like what I've just been reading.
Which, plays pretty well into this whole thing. There's a whole lot of grunting and heaving.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you really don't know what Dragon Ball is and you're really curious to know, I mean, I'm surprised that you would be on the internet and not know at least as much as Kira just told you about Dragon Ball, but if you really aren't, there's a plethora of places you can look on internet to expand your knowledge. So each of us found a couple of samples of some fan fiction regarding the Dragon Ball universe that we thought it would be interesting to talk about, bring up some salient points, and, have a laugh and whatnot. So did you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Is there one that you're particularly burning to get out there with?
I'm like I said, I wasn't super, like, there was a lot of it.
You went at it, though, I imagine, kind of like with a shotgun approach. Because you didn't have...
Well, basically what I did was I opened up fanfiction.net and I opened up Archive of Our Own and, like, just, like, went under the general thing. And, like, at first I sorted it by, like, what has the most, like, likes or whatever. But, like, I wasn't super impressed in, like, an actual impressed or a hilariously impressed with anything that I found. So then I decided to start looking at specific characters that I kind of, like, could recognize from the internet just as being from the show. And, like, trying to find things about them or in some cases I looked up, like, a specific genre to see what was the most popular in that section. And so, yeah, it was very, I don't know, like, it's interesting to go about it this way about a show that I know nothing about, because there's stuff that a fan would, like, see as and recognize as canon, I guess, but like that I'm like, is this something that's actually in the show, or is this just something that the author is pulling out of the air? Like, I have a couple...
probably answer all of your questions.
Well, I was hoping so, because, like, I have a whole bunch of points on these, like, you know, is this reference for a reason, or is the author just weird? So, like, I have a whole lot of
the answer is invariably going to be both. But, yeah.
So, yeah, it was really fascinating. But to answer your question in a much shorter way, I do not have anything that I'm, like, super... like, can't wait to reveal. But I think they're all good, strong stories, but I'm not, like,
all right, well, I think you have more than me, so why don't you go first?
I do. I have 3.
Yeah.
All right. The first one I am going to read today is called Ladies Who Lunch by Blown Wish. I looked up Yuri, I believe that's how you say it, because I realized that in the previous 2 podcast episodes that we hadn't discussed any lady-on-lady action.
I was going to say, that's the female version of yaoi cards.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, I thought that I would give that a try since we hadn't discussed it yet.
Okay.
And so I found this one, like I said, called Ladies Who Lunch, and basically the overview is that, like, okay, now, I was trying to make you go first because I don't know how to pronounce any of these names. Oh,
well, this will be a lot funnier. You could have just said that, but now
it will. Here, let's go. I forgot that was my driving point until this very moment. But anyway, so basically this story is about Bulma, is this correct?
That is a correct pronunciation.
Is apparently paying Chi-Chi?
Yep.
And 18?
Yep.
To have sex with each other and her.
You really had to ask me how you were pronouncing 18 correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
18? So, and then later in the story, they introduce another lady into their weird sex group who is named Videl. I'm doing good.
You are.
Okay, but anyway, so the things, like I said, this story wasn't like super good or bad. I only picked it because of the lady-on-lady action. However, I felt that the author, from what I can understand, 18 is the one who's, like, narrating. It's a first-person kind of situation. But, like, the way the writing is written, she kind of has the voice of, like, an old-timey Private Eye. If that makes any sense?
And no, so, it doesn't. Like, I mean, what you're saying does, but it doesn't make any sense with her character.
That was my.
That sounds like a purely artistic decision on the author's side.
Like, I'm gonna just read this sentence here, and I want you to imagine if it was read like with that kind of voice
in a noir.
Yeah,
kind of?
Like she's so athletic, and she's talking about Chi-Chi. She could straddle my head forever grinding like that. She would if she could. That bitch likes to hold out. holds back her orgasm so she can get head for hours if you let her. I don't know. I make sure she's so out of her mind she can't stop it, and all she can do is moan and wiggle that ass till she comes. Like...
Yeah, that's not how
do you understand?
I would picture 18 speaking in any way.
So,
I also like how you tripped over saying the word bitch.
I'm choked. If anybody hears me clearing my throat or anything, I'm like, I have a cold, and I'm having a hard time with it, but I'm soldiering on. So, like, that's the kind of voice that I'm talking about. It's kind of weird, and I don't know. That was one of the things I was curious if that's how the character actually talks.
No, that's not part of her character.
Show.
She's an android, so she speaks in a somewhat robotic-y kind of way.
Okay, so not
that
at all.
Destroy all humanoids, but like she doesn't have a whole lot of inflection to her voice or anything like that.
So
that's a complete application of the author.
Okay, all right. So basically, what's going on here is that 18 and Chi-Chi got to the apartment where they, meet to, have sex. Yes, to lunch, if you will. And then Bulma shows up with. She says she brought, a new guest to their club, and it's this Videl person. And I guess that Chi-Chi is uncomfortable because that's her daughter-in-law?
Yes.
And so she's super uncomfortable about that. And then,
Well, wait, hold on. No, Videl is not Chi-Chi's daughter-in-law. They're... right?
He's looking to our
I looked to our producer, and he looked at me with a look of horror and non-comprehension. I don't believe they're very close. Their families are intertwined, but they're not like. I don't believe they are.
Are you sure? Because I believe she calls her mommy. Are you sure?
Videl is married to Gohan, who is Goku's son. Bulma is married to Vegeta, who is Goku's rival.
But Bulma is not the one I'm talking about.
Oh, Chi-Chi, right. Yeah. No, yes, you're correct then. Okay. I'm sorry. She is her daughter-in-law. I apologize.
was going to say, because I had 80 tabs open on dragonball.wikia.com, and I think I know what I'm talking about at this point.
I thought you said that Bulma was...
No, she's kind of in charge of this whole thing. She's not really doing any of the sex. She's just like... Yes, exactly. So she then ends up having Videl comes over and starts sucking on Chi-Chi's,
Chi-Chi's?
Yeah, let's go with that. And she's like, "Oh, it's not working. You told me that this would work," and they were all really confused. And it turns out that Bulma is doing again, I want to ask you if this is actually part of her character or not. She's doing, weird scientific...
Yes, Bulma's a scientist.
Okay, alright, see, now this makes sense. Because she's, doing all these weird sort of science experiments on them, trying to...
okay. So that adds a little bit more of a meta-narrative.
Right, yeah. So she had apparently slipped or something earlier that was going to make her lactate, but she didn't know about it. And so she's, really upset, and she's, crrying about it, because I guess she's embarrassed. But she's also, enjoying it, apparently. I used air quotes, you couldn't hear them. But, I don't know, it felt a little bit rapey for me.
I mean, isn't most fan fiction just a little bit rapey at least?
I don't know. But so, 18 steps in to try and make her enjoy it some more, and, starts, finger insertion and all that, and, then she gets into it more, I guess. This one, I thought it was finished, but apparently now that I'm looking at it, it is unfinished. But, the last chapter ends with, science notes, about the experiment. So, I thought that was the end, but apparently there's more coming. I don't know. But,
there's more experiments to be run.
Right, obviously. Right. I guess.
Well, I mean, outside of the incestuous bit, I imagine that were I still 13, that would have been the kind of thing that I went looking for on fanfiction.net.
Really?
I think so, probably, yeah.
Even with the breast milk?
I mean...
Is that something that teens are usually into?
Not particularly, but it's also not it's not like poop where it's a huge turn off.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
If it's
it can
in there,
be there,
sure.
It's fine.
Right,
it's not going to ruin or enhance your experience any.
Right,
okay. All right. I guess that makes sense.
But more the fact that it's just 4 Dragon Ball babes all getting together and doing stuff to each other.
Guess.
You know what I mean?
But they're doing it for money. All of them are there because they want... Because Bulma pays them. They needed extra income. Seriously, I'm not making this up. It's in chapter 2. So, like, that's why they're there. It's not out of the goodness of their hearts. Except, like, 18 is like, enjoying it. Because, like I said, she and Chi-Chi get there first. And then she, like, starts, licking her and stuff. And she's like, stop! She's not even here yet! What's the point of this? And she's like, it's not all about, the money or whatever. So, Chi-Chi's not enjoying it. She just needs the money. Because I guess her husband is dead? I don't know. I'm vaguely confused about this.
Goku does die several times throughout the series.
His wiki page made it seem that way.
Yeah.
I was super confused.
Goku's one of those... Well, see, here's the thing about a little bit of Dragon Ball lore, just to help everybody out. The Dragon Balls, if you collect them all, you can get a wish. One of the wishes that people usually end up wishing for is to bring somebody back from the dead. There are several occasions on which Goku is killed, and he is then brought back to life. So this may have been during one of those periods wherein Goku was dead. She's got at least one son. If depending on the period of time, she might have two sons that she needs to take care of, and including Krillin, who isn't their son, but is basically a ward of the state, so she probably has to take care of him anyway. So in that sense, I mean, I guess it makes sense, although you're right, that would have... diminished 13-year-old me's enjoyment of it.
The fact that she was doing it for money?
Right, yeah.
That's interesting.
She was kind of blackmailed into it.
Yeah, she was.
I mean, not 31-year-old me.
Totally into it. I can send you the link after the show. But, I think... The thing I enjoyed the most about this was the voice of the author. Again, I don't know. It's
that sounds very odd and...
Like, I'm
cool.
looking, I grabbed both her tits and shook them. I crouched down until I was eye level with those cherry red nipples. You want to press these against her? I sucked one nipple into my mouth and let it pop out loudly. Let it jiggle around. Want her to do this? Now, there are so many ways to make this lady go over the top. She's intense in the first place, so it's easy to work her up. Like, I don't know, like, just picture it with kind of like a 40s, like, sneer to it. Like,
I can see 18 in that hat, in that pork pie.
Yes, exactly.
That's very out of tune with her character, but I can still see it in my head, which really makes me wonder where this guy or girl is coming from.
Right.
Whether they... have they just written so much of this stuff that they've become inured and they're like, all right, to make this one feel different, I'm going to write her like a 1920s private eye? Or, is that a thing that they, are into and therefore...
So that's how they were picturing it while they wrote it.
Right, exactly.
See, I don't know. I think that's the thing that fascinated me the most about this one was the voice. Because, so many bad fan fictions... it's bad because there is no voice. This person captured a voice really well. It just is not a voice that makes any sense. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's mostly why I picked this one. Also, there wasn't a whole lot of, lady-on-lady stuff to choose from, which surprised me as well. Also... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you...
On Archive of Our Own, there's only 700 and some DBZ.
750, I think it was, yeah.
Fan fictions, which I thought was interesting, and then I remembered that the stuff on Archive of Our Own is usually a better quality, and so that's probably why, because DBZ is lame.
See, now I pulled...
I just wanted to get that in there.
I pulled all of my selections from Archive of Our Own also, and this is the first time that I've used it for my searching, and I noticed that the quality of the stuff was actually higher, and I wasn't sure if that was a function of the site, or if it was a function of Dragon Ball Z fanfiction writers.
I think it's probably both, but I think up until recently, Archive of Our Own was invite only.
Ah, okay.
So, they're not just letting every fanfiction.net weirdo on here to just, spew their weird crap. Yeah. So, I'm not saying there's not really weird topics on here, because let me tell you, there are.
I got one later.
But, I'm just saying it's usually better written weird stuff. So
yeah, and that was one of the things that really struck me, and it actually parlays really well into my first example, which I'm only going to spend a couple of minutes on, but it was called Definition, which I still don't know why it's called that. It's by Bee's Knees on Archive of Our Own.
I think I read that one.
Ah.
But it's not one of my picks, so go ahead.
So Bulma, from your previous story, is going to tell Vegeta, who is her husband, and also is saying that she's pregnant with his baby, and then they totally have sex and stuff. Now, this was really just one of the first ones that I came to.
Did you?
Out wrong.
Wow.
No, I was at work. But
Sorry.
The sex is pretty vanilla, to be honest, which is one of the reasons that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. There were a couple things that I wanted to point out before I got to my point. There was a turn of phrase that the water in the shower was blaring hot. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be blazing hot and it was a typo, or if they're trying to invent a new phrase. But I'm going to try using it for a while and see if it'll happen. Now, this is told from Bulma's point of view. In this one, she is not conducting lesbian sex experiments to who knows what end. But like I said, she's pregnant, and she wants to tell Vegeta. Now, you don't know Vegeta, but Vegeta is, he's very brooding.
I feel like I know him because I read a lot about him on the wiki last night.
He's the strong, silent asshole type.
My favorite kind of
pretty
guy,
much.
really.
Yeah, you would totally have been a Vegeta guy if you watched DBZ, I guarantee you. And so at the beginning, it talks about how their relationship hasn't really been defined. So I guess at this point, they're not actually married. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if they ever technically get married.
I think they did because they talked about it a lot on the wiki. So our producer says yes.
But so she talks about how she doesn't really know how to bring this up because like their relationship doesn't have any like predetermined rules and stuff. So like she doesn't know how to come about this or whatever. So she waits till he gets in the shower, and then she just like
that's how I would do it.
The blaring shower,
completely vulnerable,
right? In the blaring shower, and then she goes up to him and she says, "So I'm pregnant," she says without any preamble. Continues to count, but doesn't have to wait long. Vegeta opens the shower curtain almost immediately and looks at her with an expression that lingers somewhere between a tight scowl and disbelief. So that's the thing that you mentioned about the stuff being of a higher quality, I think comes into play here. Because first of all, the writing in this is not abysmal. It's really not. It's almost kind of good. Like, it's not Thomas Pynchon or anything. But, like, it didn't make my brain hurt. I could follow what was being said. There were some interesting turns of phrase, even getting rid of the blaring shower. There were some things that were kind of interesting. But what really struck me about this more than anything... Well, hold on. Let me get to this other thing first. There are a couple other things I wanted to point out. There seems to be some anatomy confusion. So he stares at her after she says that he's pregnant. Doesn't say anything, but gets out of the shower and they start to get to fucking.
It's about time.
And then there's this bit where it says, not when she feels it riding inside of her, both of them bracing for the moment that he slides home. So... Right. So is the penis riding inside her? In which case...
Did it already slide home?
What's waiting to slide home? Or B, is she, not to cast any dispersions, but super grossly referring to the baby inside of her? That's riding inside of her. Which makes more sense than a penis when you think about it.
I guess.
And the baby is waiting for the penis to slide home?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't like either of my options.
I know. If it's the second one, then you.
Yeah, super you.
But so the main reason that I picked this one out was how believable I found it. As someone who spent so much time in this universe, and it's been a while since I've like watched DBZ or really thought about it all that hard, but back in the day, man, I was super into it. I had like all of the Japanese dubbed or subs rather, and like I knew everything. And I used to get mad at people who would refer to stuff as their English fucking bastardization.
You were one of those guys?
Oh my god, I absolutely was. I still am, in fact, to a point. But at one point, it mentioned that when they were getting to it, Bulma mentioned touching his quote mound of scar tissue where his tail had once been, which I thought was like a really nice touch because Saiyans have tails. But
I didn't know that until last night.
But for if they have a tail and then the moon goes full, they turn into this giant uncontrollable
I didn't know that until last night either. I was
there you go.
Confused, and then I followed like a Wikipedia trail.
So
you know
most of the Saiyans in the story who are living on Earth because of the moon end up cutting their tail off in one way or another so that they don't turn into this uncontrollable rage ape and stuff. So I thought that was really a nice little bit of detail. And then in the end, the last paragraph, she wakes up the morning after their lovemaking, and he's flown away to another planet. He never says a word throughout the entire story, and he's just gone. And she talks about how she kind of expected it, and she knew that he'd be back someday, but she really didn't know how he was going to take it. And this was so 100% believable that, like, if this was what had happened when Bulma told Vegeta that Trunks had been conceived, like, I would buy into it 100%. Like, this person tapped into it perfectly. Like, if Dragon Ball Z had been done as, like, a Game of Thrones type show, where, like, fucking wasn't the point. You know what I mean? It's not
But
like
it was-
porno,
yeah.
but like it was totally okay to show some fucking. If DBZ was that, this scene could have been slid right in there and it would have fit with everything else. And I thought that was really amazing that this person wrote something that I, as a fan of it, and there was nothing about it made me go, except for the part about the
riding.
the riding penis and the riding baby and the waiting for it to slide.
Something's riding somewhere and nobody likes
something
it.
somewhere, and it's bad either way.
So, are we converting you? Do you maybe understand the merit of fanfiction a little bit?
I mean, it
little
still
bit?
didn't turn me on.
Okay, that's
Which
fine.
I think, isn't that kind of the main thing?
You see, that's an interesting
At least
point.
when we're talking about this kind of fanfiction. I understand
Because-
there's a whole world of fanfiction that is not erotic.
Which I don't like. This is something. No, seriously. Because the other night when I was talking about getting together stories I should use, and I was asking our producer what if he had any suggestions of characters that I should look up because I don't know any characters, and he was like, "Do you do like any of them maybe that aren't about sex?" And I like legitimately said to him, what else would anybody write about? Like, why would you write fanfiction if it wasn't just about people doing it? Like, I don't get that, personally. Because when I go to fanfiction, I'm like, I think character A and character B should be together, and they're not in the show. So I'm going to go find it on my own. What could you want out of the show that it's not already giving you?
Well, like, for me, we're going deep with this shit. Let's say, me, I am a big fan of Gogeta, who we'll talk about Fusion later.
Okay.
But Gogeta is one of the two fusion versions of Goku and Vegeta, right? Gogeta is very, very, very briefly seen in Dragon Ball Z, and slightly more seen in Dragon Ball GT, which is kind of a piece of shit which nobody likes, and takes place after Dragon Ball Z. So, if I were so inclined, if I wanted more Gogeta beating the crap out of people, I could write that fanfiction and it would have nothing to do with boners. It would just be... No, because that's not the way I think about this stuff intrinsically. Now, even when I was 14, I wouldn't have cared. I would have just wanted him to beat the crap out of people. I would have wanted him to beat the crap out of, like, a fusion of, like, Cell and Frieza or something, which we'll get to in a minute, perhaps. So I think that might be part of it. If you're really into something and just whatever it is isn't... Or, like, Berserk's a bad... example because there exist 14,000 volumes of Berserk manga where other stuff happens. But if let's say the Berserk manga didn't exist and there was just a Berserk anime, like I could see people writing their own versions of stuff that happened after the Berserk anime ended because it ended in such a bullshit, horseshit, fuck you manner.
Okay, but like, what do you want out of it though?
Just like you're expanding the story in some way, and maybe you need to get it out of you. You want to see how stuff plays out.
I guess. I guess. But, I think it's dumb when people want to watch TV shows that are, obvious love stories. However, in every other, consumable entertainment,
but want
I want the characters to get together, even though the show's not about that.
Right.
So, I don't know what that says about me, and I also don't know...
You would have ruined the X-Files.
Get out of my house. Can we do an X-Files episode?
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely on the list, I assure you.
Because, man, I read a lot of fan fiction for that show.
But, so that's why I think, anyway, people would do non-sexual fan fiction.
I guess. I mean, I'm just saying, I come across it sometimes, and I'm like, oh my god. Sometimes it's, something I want to read, but it's also, plot continuation, and I'm just, scroll. When are they gonna put it in? This is really boring. I don't care about your dumb storyline.
Or, DBZ has enormous time skips. You could write stuff that fills in stuff that happens during
those time skips. It seemed that way when I was looking at the...
There's a
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that one. All right.
So there you go. All right, so that was my first example. What do you got next?
Ramble over. My next one is a self-insertion, which I love.
Ooh.
I know. You can ask our producer. I was legitimately giggling because he paused in his editing of our previous podcast to ask what was so funny out there, and I was like, oh, nothing. I just found a self-insertion. Now it's not branded as such. It just says
it just totally is.
A princess named Lucy.
Princess of where?
Some country that of the breathtaking planet of Arise.
Oh, okay, so that's made up.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, it's super made up.
I wasn't sure if maybe she was a Namekian princess or something that was real.
But so she,
Real?
yes, real. It's real. It's all real, Steve. So she is abducted by Frieza?
Correct.
Hooray, I win.
Most of these names are pretty straightforward, to be completely
Apparently.
honest. Yeah.
I don't know. They look more complicated than they really are.
There's a if you want to get really pedantic, there's an argument over whether it's spelled F-R-E-I-Z-A or F-R-E-E-Z-A.
This one's I-E.
Yeah, most of them end up being that way.
You sound disappointed?
I prefer the double E, but
Of course you do.
it's more punny that way, which most Dragon Ball names are puns in one way or another.
I did not realize that until I was doing all this investigation last night, and I was even more disgusted with the show than I was
One
previously.
of my favorite things about the show.
It made so much more sense. But, okay, so basically the story is Lucy is a princess of the breathtaking planet of Arise, and her...
Like spelled A-R-I-S-E? Like
Yes.
the English word arise? Okay.
Yes. It's a beautiful place, and all the villages were filled with people who lived there with their happy lives and families. And so he is going to destroy the planet because...
Who's he?
Frieza.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Because of some sort of treaty that they must have gone against.
Destroying planets is really Frieza's thing.
I got that from what I was reading. I'm sorry, I keep covering my mouth with my hand. But so he decides that he's going to save her, and we don't know why right away.
Is it for sex?
We'll get to it. But
I just have an inkling it's for sex.
she's 17, and she's super sheltered, and like to the point that she doesn't even know what sex is, and can hardly read and write. Like, we're talking really sheltered.
Wow, that's a
like,
really bad princess.
creepily sheltered. Yeah, right? But I'm going to give a short description of her that the author gives us. I couldn't understand. I was 17 and was said to be the most beautiful thing in the universe. People tell me that I am the most polite and innocent thing in the entire galaxy. My kindness was known for miles. What would someone as evil as Frieza even want with me? I looked in the mirror at myself as Mei Lin, which is her maid, fixed my hair. My caramel sun-kissed skin, long, thick blonde hair reaching my lower back. In my speculation, my eyes were my favorite part of me. They are aqua but fade to deep sapphire blue and outlined in emerald green. So, I'm going to go back to a previous episode when I talked about how these, like, in-depth character descriptions of appearance and what they're wearing are all about, like, the author is just trying to live
Right, it's a thing that
through
they
it.
own or they wish they owned.
This author goes as far as to provide links in the story to the dresses that she's wearing. So you don't even have to imagine, and she doesn't even bother
And if
going
you want
on.
to roleplay it with your lover, all you gotta
Right.
do is click the links.
So you don't even have to try and imagine what she's wearing, and she doesn't even have to go into any in-depth things. It's just like, click here at mypromdress.com to see
Oh man, you know she's
what
getting
I'm
her
wearing.
referral dollars back for that shit too.
So, like, that was the first thing I was like, what? This sentence doesn't make sense. And then I realized that was because it was a link but she put spaces in it, so you had to take the spaces out
Wow.
because I guess maybe fanfiction.net doesn't let you put links in it or
That's poor
something.
SEO. I just want to stop you real quick to say how amusing it is to me that she's inserting herself into her fanfiction, and she makes it so she's the most beautiful and sweet and kind and everything.
And innocent.
But also makes herself dumb as a fucking rock to the point that she can't read or like write or breathe or like know what sex is.
Yeah. So she gets on his spaceship, I guess. He has a spaceship.
He has a spaceship.
He takes her away, just her, not her maid, not her family, just her, and then blows up the planet, I guess.
Her family doesn't get to come with her or nothing?
No, just
boy.
her alone.
Is she upset about that, or is she just like, oh, fuck 'em?
Not really. She doesn't really mention it. Like, she is... The only family really mentioned is the maid, Mei Lin, which I don't know. The name sounded vaguely racist to me, and I can't really explain why. The maid was not explained in any way. But anyway, so she gets led by Zarbon
That is also a guy.
to her
He's one of Frieza's
chambers,
crony.
I guess. And it says that she wore a seductive dress with a link,
How is she
lip
know that it's
gloss.
seductive?
Short, I guess. But I looked at it. I didn't think it was that seductive. I don't know. Also, it's at mypromdress.com. How seductive can it really be?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Not mysluttypromdress.com?
No. And so, a seductive dress, lip gloss, eyeshadow, blush, manicure, pedicure, you name it. I could feel his eyes on my chest as I walked beside him, we're talking about Zarbon here, into Frieza's star room. Parentheses, you know the room where you can see out into space that he's always in. Yeah, that one. End parentheses. So...
I don't think it's given a name in the anime, so it was actually kind of helpful that she decided to call it Star Room.
Well, it didn't help me any because I didn't know that such a place existed.
Well, it's a lot like she says. It's a big room where he can look out among all the stars and decide which planet he wants to explode next.
So she's led into this room and he's like, oh yeah, that lady, I don't really have a place for you right now. You can take her back to her room. So she got all dolled up for nothing. So Zarbon takes her back, and carries her to bridal style to her room, and then she goes to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then...
that was the name of a store or something, and I'm like, it's a weird place for there to be a bridal style.
But so, he takes her back to her room, and she goes to sleep, but then she wakes up, and he's, like, sitting on her bed staring at her breasts, and, like, tears all her clothes off.
Like Zarbon or Frieza?
Zarbon.
Oh.
So, you know, he tears all her clothes off, and, jumps on top of her. I believe that's the exact wording. He possessions himself onto her, which I'm assuming should be positions. Which I don't know.
Could be possessions.
I mean, it could be, but he never actually gets it in. That's important because for later. So she yells for Frieza, and he comes in and rescues her, and so then she's like, just. You know, she's hooked immediately. Like, never mind that this dude blew up her planet and, like, killed her family and, like, stole her away and all of this. She can't stand to be out of his sight. She has to be around him all the time. Like, to the point where if she can't find any clothes, she just throws on a bedsheet just so that she can follow around after him because, like, heaven forbid, he be out of her sight.
I'm going to stop you for half a second. Did you look at any pictures of Frieza, just out of curiosity?
I did.
He's not an attractive...
No, I wasn't.
Individual.
I wasn't into it, no.
Right, no, I don't think anybody is, really.
Apparently Lucy is.
Well, apparently Lucy is, right.
They go to another planet, and he's like, I have some business to take care of. One of my, dudes will take you away, so...
Was Zarbon punished in any way for his attempt to rape?
Not... Like, he's still in the story later, so I guess he wasn't murdered. So, this other guy whose name is Dodoria...
That's also a guy.
Takes her to this field, and she's, like, playing with the flowers and stuff. He does not try to rape her. But she falls asleep.
Yeah, he doesn't seem the type.
Honestly, looking at the pictures, I think I would have gone with, what's his name, Zardon, way, way over Frieza.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like,
not even
I mean, that, given the terrible art style of the show, I think he's easily one of the most attractive characters on it. But anyway, so she falls asleep in this field, and Frieza comes to tell them to come back to the ship, and then, like, I guess he's just so struck by her beauty that he... like, has to just, like, look at her right there, and, like, so he tells Dodoria to go back to the ship, and then Lucy, who knows nothing of sex, like, stands up and kisses him, which I don't understand why she would... I guess I just felt a little, removed from the story there, because if she doesn't know, like, what she wants... Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. When I was, like, 7 or whatever, I only had the vaguest notions about sex, but I knew what kissing was, and that you did it to people that you liked.
I guess. But so, like, the kiss deepens, and here, up until this point, the point of view has been Lucy's point of view. But suddenly here, we switch to Frieza for a second. His wording, something I have to say about this author is that, his parts are, like, written in a way more flowery manner. Like, as bad as this author is...
Oh, Frieza's parts.
Yeah,
okay.
As bad as this author is, he or she, I imagine it's a she, because Lucy. But I don't want to, make any judgment calls here. Like, actually gives them different voices.
Huh.
Like, if there was no, like, point of view indicator here, like, I would know that the person telling was different. I don't know. But, so it's way more flowery. Our tongues danced in each other's mouths. Her small body pressed up against mine. Like, it's just way more flowery than Lucy's writing was. But so he, again, with the fingers, he, like, brings her to completion with his fingers. And then he's just about to, undo his pants when some sort of urgent call comes, and so they don't get to do it. So they go back to the ship, and Lucy's like, what just happened? Like, she asks him that. Why did it feel like that? What were you doing to me? Why were you doing that to me? And he's like, I was going to take your virginity, but we got interrupted.
The soup's important thing to take care of, sorry.
Yeah, well, and she was like, what's that? Do I need it? Like, this is the level of idiocy we're talking about here. And he says, you don't need it. It just means you haven't had sex. And I didn't know what that was either, but I pretend... Oh, wait. See,
never heard the word sex.
Here's another thing about this story that weirds me out, is like sometimes it like switches. Here's the exact sentence, and I'm going to read it aloud to you. You do not need it, and it means you haven't had sex. Quotation marks. I didn't know what that was either, but you pretended to. Like, she switches in the middle of it to, like, casting all of this on you, which made me super uncomfortable because none of these things are true about me. So he's trying to do some paperwork, and she keeps, like, asking him questions and being there and stuff, and, so he's like, you're too distracting, and then he, like, takes her and, like, rips off her underwear and, like, throws her down on his desk and, like, has his way with her. So, like, all that romantic lead up, and then he, like, basically rapes her. And she's, like, not having a good time at all, and she's crying.
Oh, really?
No.
That's...
she says, it stings. Please stop. I don't like it. It hurts so much. And so he smacks her and tells her to shut up, and maybe that'll give her something to cry about. And her blood is leaking down his dick, it says here.
That's a really, like, harsh turn. Like, that was
right?
where I was expecting.
No, I know, I wasn't either. I was like, what just happened? So then he rapes her, but then, of course, he feels bad about it.
Well, duh.
And so
everyone always does.
He, like, takes her to bed then, and, like, I guess, she's like, don't leave me, and she still doesn't want him out of her sight. And, like, eventually in the story, she treats this like it was not a big deal. So I'm just going to go ahead and cast some disparaging comments on this post-rape scene, because she's not treating it like rape, so I'm not going to treat it like rape anyway. Okay? Now, I'm a lady, and I had sex for the first time once. And it really wasn't that painful. Here we go again. It wasn't... Okay, so she's lightheaded from the pain. It was the worst she could imagine times 3. It was a throbbing feeling of pure discomfort, as if someone had ripped me open down there. I couldn't even put my legs back together, let alone stand. So she rolls off the desk and drags herself over to him to prevent him from leaving, because she's in so much pain she can't stand up. A sharp, stinging feeling appeared between my legs. It felt like 10,000 knives going into me at once. Ah, I yelped, falling to the floor, clutching my areas and covering my mouth.
My areas?
I'm reading it right now like it is. So, like, I don't know what his penis is made of. Maybe it's made of 10,000 knives.
We're gonna touch on this a little bit later, but canonically, Frieza has no external genitals.
I thought it looked that way from the photos.
Right.
So, I don't know what... Like, and there was no explicit descriptions. Like, that's something else. In a lot of fanfiction I read, like, they, like, explain the penis, even though it's just usually people having sex with each other. So, like, there's only...
into great detail.
There's only so many ways it can look, but there's still a lot of description. Here there is none. So, like, I couldn't tell you...
They wanted to give you as much agency as possible to imagine Frieza's penis.
So he feels bad. He gets her a bath. He draws her a bath, and then, she, is like, oh, do you want to get in the bath with me? So now she's being, like, all flirty and stuff because she feels bad for making him act like that. Which...
Oh, she brought it on herself.
Super grosses me out. So then, like, I guess they do it for real now, and it's fine, and it doesn't hurt anymore. Which...
So he's got a rape dong and a non-rape dong.
Apparently. So they're doing it. She's gripping onto his horns to help herself bounce better.
Oh, so this isn't Frieza's fourth form.
I have no idea.
Frieza's fourth form is all smooth and shorn.
So, more sexy?
Probably. At least more androgynous, if that's your thing.
I mean, sometimes. Sometimes it is my thing.
Sometimes.
Okay, a lot of the times. Most of the time, many times. Also, this one isn't finished either, which I did know going into it. However, one of the reasons I picked it was that it is almost 85,000 words long.
That one chapter or the entirety?
The entirety of the work. So, like, that's, like, an actual novel length.
Yeah. I think I remember reading that for most first novels, they want you to hit somewhere between 90 and 100,000 words.
Yeah. So, like, I
Wowie zowie.
admit I did not read this one in its entirety.
I mean...
the first time scene, I kind of, like, got what the story was about. But I was just really impressed that this self-insertion story spanned 29 chapters
Jeez,
and 85,000 words. And it was published in July of 2010, and the last update was August of 2013. So it's been a little while since it's been updated. However, that author worked for 3 years on this masterpiece. So, as ridiculous and eye-rolly and offensive and rapey as I find it, I have to at least give them...
Begrudging respect?
Yeah, begrudging respect, because that's a pretty long story. And, I mean, who else could possibly be reading this?
It's somebody else who's super into Frieza.
Well, it has 29 followers, so...
Well, there you go.
29,
so 29
people
who are super into Frieza and or dumbass rock princesses.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is my second story.
All right, we're going to take a break so I can get another dirty, and when we come back, we'll do more of this shit. All right, welcome back, everybody. I have a new drink, and my wife brought up an idea that Kira wants to expound upon a little bit from the last story that she was reading.
Okay, she brought the point up before I finally found this bit that I had wanted to read, but I'm going to read it first and then explain because I think it makes more sense that way. This is at the end of chapter 2 after she's been almost raped by Zarbon or whatever his name is.
Yeah, you don't have to end whatever his name is, hand wave your way around it. It's Zarbon.
His
name is Zarbon.
Who's the floating talking head thing? That movie that everybody thought was really funny.
Zardoz?
Yeah. It's close enough that I keep getting confused in my mind. So this was a lot more funny for me to picture when it was a giant
it was
head.
Zardoz.
Yeah. But anyway, it was about 15 minutes until I began to get tired and feel asleep into Frieza's strong arms. After you were asleep, he pulled down your covers and put you into your bed. He stood up and left your room, being sure to lock it behind him for your safety. Weird. Like, reading it, like, I cringed, and I was like, no, he didn't. He's nowhere near my room. But Megan brings up the point that perhaps this is a self-insertion story, but not the way I've been reading it. She hypothesizes that Frieza is actually the self-insertion, and he is creating his ideal woman in this. And that creepy last paragraph, I think, lends a lot of believability to that theory, personally. Because it would make a lot more sense than some lady writing herself as, like, super dumb and super rapeable, but totally cool with being raped, I guess.
Super rapeable.
So I guess he's just looking for a really dumb lady who knows nothing about sex, but super wants to have it with him in a lot of sexy prom dresses?
Weirdly enough, that's, I mean, maybe not the prom dresses part, but the first couple parts of that is the thing that a lot of guys, I believe, are looking for. So it wouldn't really surprise me either. Also considering the...
I'm offended.
Also considering the demographics of Dragon Ball Z fans.
Fair point.
Male v female, just on a pure numbers scale, you're looking at probably most of this stuff was written by dudes rather than ladies. So, interesting things upon which to ruminate.
Who knew that it would be so deep?
I know, right? My second one is also having to do with Frieza.
Oh, boy.
The name of it is Strangers When We Met, and it was by Pear on Archive of Our Own. So, 2 of the 4 main big bads of Dragon Ball Z meet in hell, taunt each other a lot, and then fuck.
That's a really good description. Is that the official description?
No, that was my description. I know, I should get into this for a living, right? So, in this story we have Cell and Frieza. Frieza is the second one of the big bads. There are 4 main Dragon Ball Z story arcs. There's the Saiyan Saga, the Frieza Saga, the Cell Saga, and the Buu Saga. Frieza, obviously, the star of the Frieza Saga, and Cell, obviously, the star of the Cell Saga. At this point, they've both been killed by the Z Fighters, and they're in Hell. Now, Hell, in the Dragon Ball universe, is a place just like pretty much anywhere else.
Okay.
There's not terrible stuff happening to you all the time. It's just a place where you're not allowed to leave. Unless you manage to get out somehow, which happens with a fair frequency.
Isn't that basically life, though?
Wow. You said it was deep 3 minutes ago. It just got a lot deeper. Anyway, they're in Hell, and they don't really have anything to do except fight each other and make fun of each other, which, if you know Frieza and Cell, they're both... Well, let me tell you, they are both supremely arrogant. Like, they are the most arrogant beings in the universe. Like, even the guy that comes after them, Buu, is not nearly as big of a self-important asshole as these two guys are. They're the two most self-righteous, self-important, believe they're the best guys that ever existed.
Do they actually...
Except for maybe Vegeta, now that I think about it.
Do they actually meet in the show, or is this just a completely fan-based thing?
This was something I wanted to bring up. They, in the show... never meet, never fight, because Frieza is dead by the time you're introduced to Cell. So, if this didn't have fucking in it, this would be one of those things that I would say that somebody might write non-erotic fanfic about. Because they wanted Frieza and Cell to get into it. Even though, on the surface, that's plainly fucking ridiculous, because Cell is like 1,000,000 times more powerful than Frieza. Which is another thing that's in my notes a little bit later. So, basically, the idea is that it's pretty boring in Hell, because once you're, like, Hell isn't getting stabbed in the ass by pitchforks all day. In the Dragon Ball universe, you're just stuck in this place, and you're not allowed to go anywhere, and you can die if you're in Hell, but if you die when you're in Hell, you just come back because you're already in Hell. So there's like no consequences to anything that you do. I know, it really doesn't. But, so, Cell and Frieza both have been killed by the Z Fighters, respectively Goku and Gohan, or Gohan and Goku, because I think I've been saying Cell and Frieza. Nobody cares. But they don't have anything to do except make fun of each other and fight, and wait around for anything else to happen. So mostly this means that Frieza and Cell getting into pissing matches about who is better, which is ridiculous because Cell is like 1,000,000 times more powerful than Frieza. Because if this follows the second law of Dragon Ball power dynamics, which is that power curves are always exponential. Any guy that you defeat, the next guy that you come to fight will be 10 times more powerful than that guy. Always, without fail.
Isn't that basically like any anime, really?
But it's especially Dragon Ball. Like, it's so much Dragon Ball. That for a while in Dragon Ball they had a thing. they had power scanners that would tell you how powerful a thing was. That the Saiyans would wear, and if you've ever seen the internet meme, it's over 9,000.
I have.
That originates from Dragon Ball because the first time that Vegeta is fighting Kakaroto or Goku, the main character,
I learned that last night as well.
He goes not Super Saiyan, but he goes Kaioken times 10. And his power level breaks 9,000, and it breaks Frieza's scanner. Sorry, it breaks Vegeta's power scanner. He breaks it in his hand when he sees that Kakarot has a power level of over 9,000. By the time we get to the Frieza saga, people are already in the power levels in the millions. At that point, they basically abandoned power levels, but some very dedicated fans have extrapolated out power levels for all of the other characters. And by the time you get to the end of the Buu saga, you're in like the hundreds of millions and the billions.
I'm like super not surprised that happened.
So every character, and also there's huge arguments about who is more powerful. I stand by the fact that by the end of Dragon Ball Z, Gohan is exponentially more powerful than anyone else, but there are people who will fight me to the death over that. Anyway. So, Cell and Frieza, both stuck in Hell, nothing better to do, so they start taunting each other, which they do a whole lot. Before any actual fucking in this happens, there's a lot of outright fighting, like in a Dragon Ball Z style, you know, like they're like punching and people are like dodging and they're throwing like energy blasts at each other and stuff like that. Like, and a large amount of this, like way more than I was expecting it to, is like a Dragon Ball Z fight. And one of the things that this really highlighted for me is that Dragon Ball Z fights are a lot less exciting when they're transcribed rather than shown as a thing that is happening.
I think that's the case with a lot of fights.
Yeah,
personally,
I mean,
but
like if Gurren Lagann was just transcribed instead of seen, I might not think it was the greatest thing that ever happened. We need to do a Gurren Lagann episode, by the way. I just realized.
I mean, I've read some fan fiction of that show, so sure.
I'm not surprised. But, so there's also a lot of power dynamics being thrown around. There's a lot of, like, choking and, like, hitting and slapping and stuff.
I have something to say about that in my third story.
Which is a little... But even more than that, it's like it really is kind of like a classic Dragon Ball Z fight. Like, this is bleeding into that thing where I said where people, you know... Apparently this guy couldn't resist also getting into the fucking... But he also wanted to see a scenario where in which Cell and Frieza got to fight each other. Cell even throws, like, a KamehameHA at one point. But yeah, again, the whole thing, to me anyway, seemed pretty silly because Cell would, like, obliterate Frieza without even trying.
So you didn't get super into it?
No, and that's a thing that was kind of written into the story, too, where, like, Frieza kept doing all this stuff, and the entire time Cell was just, like, smiling and, like, knocking them away and stuff like that, because Cell is... Ugh. Anyway, Cell's my favorite DBZ villain. The one thing that really, really did bother me, other than the ridiculousness of Frieza thinking that he could stand up to Cell at all, was the fact that they used a solar flare and they called it a solar flare instead of a Taioken. Anybody who's spending enough time on this shit knows that you call it a Taioken and not a solar flare.
Okay.
Like, that's some... Fuck you.
See, like...
Fucking Gaijin. Again. How many episodes in a row am I going to have to say that?
Probably every single one.
Probably.
Maybe not every single one. But, no, I think in a lot of the fandoms that I've been involved in, and when I say involved in, I mean looking at a lot, but not actually interacting with anybody, there's always been, like, a really huge divide of, like, sub-dub. Like, it's not necessarily, like, if you're a real fan, you'll like this one better. I mean,
really?
It is.
I was going to say.
But there's a lot of people who can be dedicated fans and not
want to
bother
me, because
reading
back
it.
in 1999... Everybody who was a real fan was a subby and not a dubby. That's...
But I mean, when you're limited to what's on Toonami, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
I did. I bought a CD that had every one of the Cell Saga episodes in real player format, subbed for $13. It had all 130 episodes of the Cell Saga on.
Check your privilege, Steve.
Because
not everybody has $13.
Because I was a real fan. But... So, anyway, they fight for a while, and then Cell gets Frieza in another chokehold, but instead of just pounding the shit out of him, Cell tells Frieza to punch him Cell tells Frieza to punch him in the face as hard as he can, and Frieza does, and so just kind of like he takes it, and then he turns back, and he's got blood dripping out of his mouth, and he smiles, and he tells him to do it again, and Frieza, with all of his gusto, punches him in the face as hard as he can, and this happens 2 or 3 more times, and every time Cell turns back, and his smile is... bigger and crazier and shit, and there's more blood leaking out of his mouth. And then, before one of them lands, this happens. After moving so slowly, Cell's next movements came inhumanly quick. He pressed his mouth to Frieza's, catching him off guard. While he let go of Frieza's fist, the grips on Frieza's throat remained unyielding. The unfamiliar taste of the android's blood startled Frieza almost as much as the kiss itself. Cell slid his hands down to Frieza's waist, pulling him closer. The alien made a confused sound and tried to pull back, but couldn't quite escape the android's grasp. His hands pushed at the smooth planes of Cell's armor as the heat of the kiss and the blood overwhelmed his desire to fight. Far more exciting to kiss back, even if a part of him was still furious that the android had bested him in combat. He felt Cell's teeth graze his lower lip. With one hand, Cell stroked the inside of Frieza's leg. The nails on his skin made the alien shiver. The android held him tightly and scratched his nails over Frieza's thighs as the alien wrapped his tails around Cell's waist. His hand slid higher, up to Frieza's crotch and to the slit between his legs. The alien jerked away from the kiss abruptly, sucking in a breath. "Hold the fuck on," said I.
I'm holding.
Slit between his legs. Now, as I mentioned, for Frieza earlier anyway, but Cell also, neither one of them has any visible genitals in any canonical
I noticed that from the photos,
thing.
but going back to Sonic, that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Apparently, to these people, they have no sense of right or wrong. I mean, Cell is a semi-organic android, so, like, he has no need for genitals, right? You know what I mean? Like, he can replicate in plenty of other ways, because he's mostly a robot.
Yeah.
We can assume Frieza would have genitals, because we see his father, King Cold, for about 3 seconds before Future Trunks slices him in half at one point.
But I understand that the words you're saying are real words. However...
But, visible genitals aside, he's always been referred to as a he, not only in all of the canonical stuff, but even in this story. They've been calling Frieza a he up until this point. So I was a bit taken back by this. The easiest explanation, I guess, is that Frieza is an alien from an alien planet. So who's to say what alien genders mean? Maybe male aliens have vaginas, I guess, perhaps. Like, I don't have any better way to do it. Because even though at this point it just says slit, as it goes on, it becomes far more vagina-like.
That's something I was going to say. Is it just like basically like a sheath? Like his penis will come out of it?
There's nothing that protrudes. It starts to moisten as he gets more aroused.
Okay, that's pretty vagina-y.
And Cell even brings this up. He says, not what I expected. He looked down to where his hand rested, then back up at Frieza. Smirking, Cell pushed 2 fingers inside him slowly, eyes locked on Frieza's face. Yeah. Huh. So at this point, Cunnilingus, or at least alien mystery genital lingus, soon ensues. And we find out
that'll be the name of our first album.
We find out that this thing that Frieza has is definitely vagina-like, as I said, with the moistening and whatnot. Soon, however, after being brought to the brink, Frieza being brought to the brink, Cell stops and pushes a slightly hesitant Frieza to his knees, at which point we get this passage.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Frieza says, well, I see your creator didn't skimp on equipping you here, either. He couldn't resist being a bit sarcastic even now. Frieza eyed Cell's erect cock and glanced up to find the android looking down at him. I told you. Perfect. I can see that. Still looking up, Frieza licked the tip of Cell's cock. It delighted him to see Cell bite his lip, an expression of desire crossing his face. Frieza ran his tongue slowly around the head of his cock and down the underside. The android tasted of metal and salt. Bitter and unusual. He was warmed than Frieza imagined. I'm going to guess that was warmer. Almost burning. Metal and Salt sounds like the name of a power metal band.
Would you say that maybe he was blaring hot?
I would indeed. As the fellatio begins, we get to the real creme a la creme and the finale of the story. Cell moved his tail down and around to the slit between Frieza's legs, pushing inside easily. Frieza made a startled sound deep in his throat and pushed himself back against the new penetration. It was a little frightening, but it felt so good he couldn't bring himself to care what happened now. As he moved, Cell pushed his hips forward, fucking Frieza's mouth as he fucked him with his tail. He circled his fingers around the base of Cell's cock, squeezing as he sucked. His tail whipped back and forth as Frieza tried to keep his balance as Cell fucked him from both ends. The slapping sound grew louder as Cell pushed more quickly into the alien. He could feel the tingling sensation at the end of his cock as he fucked Frieza harder. Shaking, Frieza took Cell's cock far down as he could, unable to breathe as it choked him. The rough thrusting rocked him, the pleasure of it overwhelming his senses. With his cock buried in Frieza's throat, Cell dug his nails into the alien's head and pushed one last time with his tail deep inside, deeper than ever before. His body tensed and Cell exploded with a wordless shout. Frieza gagged, cum filling his throat. The pain and pleasure of it blurred together, pushing him over the edge, and he shuddered in another orgasm. Breathing heavily, Cell pulled out of Frieza's mouth. A trail of cum dripped onto his lips and chin. Frieza sat back on his heels as the android released him, withdrawing his tail with agonizing slowness. He gasped for breath, eyes closed. Above him, Cell tipped his head back and gazed at the empty sky. Perhaps Cell would be less boring for a time.
Wow.
Finn.
Wow. You see, I was looking for some, like, tail sex or something, and I couldn't find any.
I'm really surprised you couldn't find any, because most things in this series have tails, even if they've been cut off.
I know.
Sometimes they even grow back if they have been cut off.
I read that in the wiki as well.
Yeah, see?
Something about the sun or moon rays? I don't know.
Yeah, the moon can apparently grow back the tail, depending on how you cut it off. It's
complicated?
Yeah, don't think about it too hard.
Dumb is the word I would use?
Dumb is a pretty good word for it, actually. So the ultimate villains have confusing genitals and are also into tail play. Who'da thunk? So here's a question for you from a fanfiction standpoint rather than from a Dragon Ball standpoint.
Okay.
For characters with no clearly defined genitals, is it frequent, especially things like monsters and aliens and whatever, where you wouldn't expect them to have, a standard set of genitals, the way that you would expect, like, dumb as a rock human princess to have a set of genitals. Does this sort of, like, swap or transfer happen often?
Honestly, I don't read a whole lot of fan fiction that involves non-humans, so I couldn't really tell you.
But, I mean, they're both humanoid.
Yeah.
Cell is made up of human DNA along with Saiyan DNA and a bunch of other things. So,
I mean, gender swapping is definitely a thing.
But specifically for things where you look at them and they don't have...
I don't know.
Junk of either direction by looking at them.
I don't know.
Or by inference.
I'm going to say it's probably not uncommon.
I mean, I don't think anything is terribly uncommon. I was just wondering if it was more of a recurring theme than I would have thought it would be.
I don't know. I can't answer that. Maybe our fans can answer that.
Maybe. Write in, please, for the love of God. Give us something to read. We're both very bored at work.
Clearly. Oh, man.
Okay, so that was my second
what I
one.
wanted. I can't believe it.
Sorry. Don't know what to tell you.
All right, this is my last story.
Okay.
So this one is called How to Unfrustrate a Frustrated Goku by Ms. Georgie.
Give that man the $10,000.
You can probably guess what this story is about, based just upon the title. Basically, Goku and Vegeta are, like, sparring, and Goku is just, like, really distracted. Like, he keeps, like, screwing up, and it's just... He can tell something's off.
Vegeta can.
Yes. Eventually, Vegeta is like, okay, enough's enough. Like, this isn't even fun anymore. And so he yells, stop, Vegeta yelled, making the mountains around the tremble with the echo of his voice. I'm assuming that's supposed to be them. And Goku stopped dead in the middle of a dash, staring at Vegeta in shock. So,
wait, the word dash or a hyphen?
The word dash.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, what's wrong with you? And Goku's like, what do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, no, seriously, what is wrong with you? And so eventually he, like, tackles him and is like, you have to tell me what's wrong with you. We are supposed to be fucking sparring. It's not a real fucking battle, so there's no need to kill me, dick brain. I enjoyed the dick brain. I had to include that there.
Wait, did Goku say that?
No, Vegeta said it to Goku.
Okay, I was going to say, that's not a thing Goku would ever say ever.
Well, good, because it isn't. So basically, okay, at this point, he's tackled him, and they're laying on the ground. Of course, if I had $1 for every fan fiction that I've read that started with that... So he's laying on the ground, and he's like, please get off of me. And he's like, I'm not going to get off of you until you tell me what's wrong. And they, like, start laughing for no reason, just because I guess the situation is so ridiculous.
Vegeta does not laugh unless it's maniacal.
He chuckled a little bit, which grew until it was great body-shaking laughter. The prince had tears dripping down his cheeks from his amusement.
I'd like to officially register a complaint with this story.
So they're, like, laying on top of each other on the ground, laughing. And so finally, you know, he's like, are you ever going to tell me what's wrong? And Goku's like, you're making me uncomfortable. Vegeta says no. And so he, like, crosses his arms. He crossed his arms across his friend's collarbone to rest his head on them. Goku blushed at how close Vegeta was, but just sighed and dropped his head back to look up at the sky. So, like, they're, like, you know, cozily lounging.
Yeah,
I guess
yes.
I would call it cuddling, really.
Pretty much.
Like, that's cuddling, right?
Yeah, more or less.
He's still trying to get him to tell him what's wrong. He, like, sniffs him because he smells really good. And it was nice, it says here. Vegeta, unbeknownst to Vegeta, he had buried his head against Goku's throat to get more of that addicting scent into his nose. And let his purring get louder. So when Goku spoke, he got a little shock. Question for you. Further into this story, there is a lot of purring. Is this something canon-related? Do they purr in the show?
Not that I remember.
Because I saw that they had tails, and I thought maybe I was missing something.
Our producer is also shrugging his shoulders and shaking his head no. I don't remember that.
I thought, since they had tails, that maybe it was some sort of cat-related thing. However, when I looked into it, they're actually just really
They're
angry
apes.
space monkeys.
Yes, exactly. They are not cats. They are space
So
monkeys.
I was wondering if this was just something the author had come up with, or if it was something legit.
Just threw in. Nope, that is not.
I'm going to pause and let Megan get it out of her system.
It's okay, we're going to have some laughter in this back. I don't give a shit if there's laughter in the background. It works on Jordan Jesse, go.
You should know that we're both, Steve and I are sitting here with our microphone while our respective spouses just stare at us.
Oh my god.
God, I love that. But anyway, so he's like, WTF, why are you nuzzling into my throat? And he's like, sorry about that. How did you pronounce his carrot name?
Kakarot.
Yeah. I must be a little tired. I'm getting delusional because of it. So he's trying to explain it off, like he's so sleepy. Of course, he would be nuzzling into his friend's neck. I mean, who doesn't, right?
I just nuzzle into my friends.
But so eventually, Goku admits that he is distracted because he's sleepy. A lot of people are sleepy in this story, apparently, because his wife has kicked him out of the house at night because, in her words, she doesn't want him to contaminate our bed with my disgusting body. So,
wow.
Chi-Chi is disgusted by Goku's body because apparently it is heavily scarred.
I mean, yes. It depends where we are in the story, but yes, Goku does get heavily scarred.
So,
as you mentioned before, he has killed many times.
I imagine that leads to some scars. But anyway, so apparently his wife is disgusted by this and has been kicking him out of the house, so he's been sleeping on the ground.
That doesn't sound very much like Chi-Chi at all.
He's, tired and sick.
Chi-Chi is pretty much the perfect waifu.
And so, he's like, but that's not all. And Vegeta's like, oh, please, what else is there? And,
I have to stop you for a second and register my disbelief with the entirety of what is happening in this story as a Dragon Ball Z fan.
And I want to say, this is something... I read a lot of gay fan fiction. You can probably guess that.
I'm not totally surprised.
Something that'll throw me out of a story immediately is, yes, I'm reading this because I want these two dudes to do it. I don't want them to be ladies about it. Does that make any sense? Like, can you guys just do it without having to be, like, all fluttery eyelashes and, like, rose petals floating by? Like, can you just be two dudes, the two character dudes that I like and enjoy, and want to see have sex? Just have sex like those two dudes? Like, why does it have to be all this emotional crap?
I agree with you on the second bit. It's not so much the flutteriness, but just, like, that is not the way Goku nor Vegeta would ever act ever under any circumstances.
Right, so it throws you entirely out.
Yeah, totally. If I was trying to beat off to this, I would never be able to hold my bone.
I'm not saying that maybe these two characters aren't totally into each other. I don't know because I haven't watched enough of the show.
I mean, there's a fair bit of homoeroticism.
So, but they don't have to be all flowery about it.
Exactly, and they're not.
And that's what I'm taking issue with. Even though I have no, emotional investment in this show, I still felt that way about this story. Which was a point I wanted to bring up, which is one of the reasons that I used this. Okay, so he admits, finally, angrily, because Vegeta keeps pressuring him about this, and he says, frustration, Vegeta, that's what's wrong with me. I'm frustrated with my lack of sleep. I'm frustrated with being kicked out of my own house. I'm frustrated because I can't fight without fucking up. And I'm frustrated that my body disgusts my wife so much that I haven't had sex in 17 fucking years. That's a really long time.
That sure is.
Vegeta blinks in shock at all of this because of all the things he was expecting, that was not it.
17 years?
Yeah, and Goku's blushing over this.
Wow.
Now.
Well, at least that gives us a good place where in the timeline this is happening, I suppose. This would be right about before Goku goes off with Oob. Anyway, continue.
Is Oob a gay lover?
Oh. He's a young boy.
Oh, my. And so, Vegeta's like, what scars are disgusting her so much? Is it when you were fighting Boo? Yes? And he's like, no, it was after you. Because apparently Vegeta beat the crap out of him at some point?
Vegeta is the first big bad of Dragon Ball Z.
But then they become friends?
Yes.
That's kind of nice.
It's a begrudging friendship, at least at first. Later it becomes more of a genuine.
So it's I guess, Vegeta's
one of the reasons
fault.
that dudes love Dragon Ball Z more than ladies is the Vegeta-Goku friendship. It's not gay. I mean, in this case, it's gay. They're both very happy with their wives. There's no indication canonically that Chi-Chi stops Goku from having sex for 17 years.
Or kicked him out of the bed because his scars were ugly. His body disgusts her.
I haven't seen that either.
But anyway. So Vegeta, I guess, feels kind of bad, but in the same point is really angry about that how dare this woman act this way to him after all the good things he's done to try and save the planet, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, so what you're saying is, if you would, a good, hard, no-holds-barred fuck and you'll be tip-top and stop trying to kill me in our sparring matches. Goku's blush told Vegeta all he had to know, and he'd been waiting for an opportunity to do this for years. So he shot forward, pushing Goku back on the ground and burying his face into his neck to bite and lick and suck up and down. Goku let out a loud moan and buried his hands into Vegeta's hair when he bit into Goku's Adam's apple and sucked hard. This made me pause, because as I've said, I've read a lot of stories with dudes on dude action. And I have to say that I've not really come across the Adam's apple as like a, sexy place. I was just curious if there was any merit to this.
Not particularly for me, I suppose.
I think that would make me super uncomfortable if I had an Adam's apple, but... Because I'm just thinking about having someone, like, biting that, like, when you press here on your throat and it's kind of like, eh. No? Okay. So,
I go, eh, but I kind of have an idea of what you're saying.
It skeeves me out a little, I guess. So, I don't know. That, like, took me out of my, my zone here if I was even in one in the first place. But, so, then Goku's like, whoa, wait a second. What about Bulma and Chi-Chi? And he was like, how can you even care what that woman would think when she hasn't had sex with you in 17 years? Which I think is a bit of a problematic statement. But anyway, they go at it anyway. And it gets... You know how I feel about fluids.
I do.
So, Vegeta, Goku sobbed and said... Saiyan? Am I saying that right? Which is weird. Bent down to give Goku a filthy kiss, all tongue and teeth and drool running down their chins. There was no tasting of the other, only reveling in the unhindered pleasure of invading another's mouth. I'm sorry, but with that much saliva, you've got to be tasting each other. So, they're kind of, like, kissing, and then they take their clothes off, and they're, like, pressing against each other, and whatever, rubbing their hands across each other. Goku, wait. When Vegeta's finger brushed over the man's nipples, he got an unexpected but not unwelcome reaction. Goku pulled back his head from their kiss, a string of spit following him, and let out a roar before he pushed Vegeta hard onto his back, causing his body to make an indentation in the rock below them, before he threw his head down and sank his teeth into Vegeta's neck, sucking hard on the wound and drinking the coppery tang of Vegeta's blood when it filled his mouth. From here...
This guy's really into fluids.
I know, and I'm super not. So... Yes, Vegeta yelled and threw his own head back and raked his nails down Goku's shoulder blades, letting blood drip down the curve of the other's spine and soak into his fingernails. Goku just growled and sank his teeth in deeper, and Vegeta howled and came in his spandex pants. So, I found this orgasm to be a little underwhelming.
And abrupt.
For
sure.
So, like...
I mean, if you hadn't been touched in 17 years, though...
Vegeta howled and came in his spandex pants.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right?
Huh.
So, like, the blood stuff came out of left field to me.
I mean, they are bloodthirsty apes.
Which I understood after I read this story. When Vegeta's orgasm was over, Goku pulled his teeth free and lapped at the wound until the blood slowed and coagulated, before making his way down Vegeta's body with blood-covered lips. He keeps working his way down, blah, blah, blah. He didn't stay there long, though, just long enough to pull down Vegeta's soiled pants, aided by Vegeta, who kicked off his boots. The only thing he still wore was his gloves, which were bit off next. Vegeta's breath caught when Goku started lapping at his cum-coated cock. That's... tricky, right? That was...
Say that 5 times fast. Cum-coated cock, cum-coated cock, cum-coated cock, cum-coated cock, cum-coated cock.
Wow.
Wow, I was a lot better
Good
than I
job.
thought I would be.
Got some practice?
Not that I recall.
But, okay, that was going soft until then, but was rapidly going in the other direction now. Especially since Goku was purring happily.
This purring is really taking me out of it.
Right? And so Vegeta is, I guess, disappointed in himself, and says, this was supposed to be you getting laid. He says, I am. Did you think you were the only one who came just now? Vegeta's eyes shot down to Goku's crotch, and sure enough, there was a patch of orange darker than the rest, near the tip of something long and hard resting between the younger one's thighs. So, you did such a good job of cleaning me up, maybe I should repay the favor. Would you like your prince to suck your cock? So he does. Sorry, there's more purring. More licking of cooled cum. So, Vegeta is now performing oral sex on Goku, and at the same time, Vegeta kept pumping his fingers in and out of himself. Being careful not to touch his sweet spot, after all, he didn't want to blow off too early either. But Goku was about to go off. Vegeta knew from the twitch of cock in his throat. And with timing only Vegeta could possess, he grabbed the base of Goku's cock and squeezed gently, giving Goku a dry orgasm.
Huh.
Which, again, not something I come across very often.
Yeah, I can't imagine that you do.
So, I thought that maybe it was because, they had gone 2 times in a row. Like, I guess that happens sometimes. But, aren't they supposed to be, some sort of super creatures? Also, they continue to go at it. And there's no mention of dry orgasm. So I
mean, there's something to be said for edging. That's a thing that exists, but that doesn't sound like what that is. I don't know that you can successfully just pinch a dong to the point that
nothing comes out,
and that everything will be okay.
Right.
That seems like a dangerous proposition.
Vegeta, Goku yelled, and that was when the Saiyan in question jumped up across Goku's hips and slammed down onto him, making them both cry out. And Goku shoot to his feet, gripping Vegeta's thighs and plowing him against the Vegeta-shaped hole in the wall of the mountain, burying himself as deep as he could into the small Saiyan. He gives him a dry orgasm, and then impales himself on...
Apparently.
I'm a little confused about the logistics of this story.
Yeah, the dry orgasm... Is
that not what the author meant? Did the author mean some sort of orgasm denial?
It seems to me like it would be not an orgasm denial. It would be an orgasm, just nothing gets to come out.
Right, I know what a dry orgasm is,
which to me sounds incredibly painful.
Agreed. But I'm saying, is that maybe not what the author was going for?
I mean...
Is the author trying to imply...
The universe is unknowable.
Right. Is the author trying to imply some sort of orgasm denial?
I mean, the fact that he said dry orgasm makes me think that an orgasm occurred.
Right. I guess. So then,
maybe the idea is that if you have a dry orgasm, then
you can have another wet one later?
Right.
Ew.
I mean, I don't know. I've never been into the whole the multiple orgasm thing, so I don't know for sure.
That comes up a lot in fan fiction.
I bet it probably does.
A lot.
For myself. I'm not too... I don't know much about the multiple orgasm thing for myself.
Okay, so then I'm going to need your help again with show facts.
Okay. At this point, I think we've gone beyond all show facts, but sure.
You would think that. I think you might be wrong, though. Vegeta's screams increased when Goku changed his angle slightly and slammed into his prostate over and over. Is this canon? No, I'm kidding. I haven't gotten there yet. He roared and clawed at Goku when the younger Saiyan blasted up to level 1, and his cock increased in girth inside him, stretching him nearly to his limit. What's levels?
Okay, so... You have probably heard the term Super Saiyan.
I have.
Okay, so that is what the levels refer to.
Is that when they get weird yellow hair?
That is when they turn blonde-haired. Their muscles get much more defined. Their pecs become larger than most women's breasts.
Sexy.
Their muscles, yeah. But there are different levels of Super Saiyan.
Clearly.
Right. You don't know that at first. That doesn't come into play until the end of the Cell Saga, which is almost 2/3 of the way through the entire series. But that's the first time anyone goes Super Saiyan 2.
Seems a little late.
There's also Ultimate Super Saiyan, which is like Super Saiyan 1.5, but that's probably not what they're talking about. So yes, there are different layers of Super Saiyan. So it sounds like Goku has gone to Super Saiyan level 1. And that this author has decided that in his universe also makes your dick bigger.
I mean, it makes sense. Ish.
I mean, but like, you don't, like, Vegeta doesn't go from standing 5'9" to standing 6'3".
This infers that Vegeta's
Like, you
small. Is Vegeta small?
Like I said, he's probably about 5'9", I would guess. Like, he's not, like, Goku is taller than he is.
I always pictured these guys as being real short.
He's not like the size of, like, Krillin, who is probably about 4'2", but
I'm sure there's charts somewhere.
He's not especially large. Oh, I'm positive there is. But that's the thing. Going Super Saiyan, it makes you, like, bulky. Like, it makes your muscles, like, but, like, it doesn't.
Well, what about your penis muscles?
I mean, I'm sure this is a thing that is hotly debated within Dragon Ball Z fanfiction sex circles. I'm sure that some people say that it happens and other people don't. In fact, the story that we're going to get to in a minute, it comes into play again.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
I love the way these keep leading to each other.
But canonically, it's never mentioned whether your dick grows when you go Super Saiyan and or level up your Super Saiyan level.
Gotcha. Ooh, Kakarot! Level 2 really did push him beyond his limits, and Vegeta had to flash into one or be ripped apart, but in a good way. Because I know that anal tearing is... There's a good way to have that.
So, again, according to the second law of Dragon Ball power growth, Super Saiyan 2 is roughly 10 times more powerful than Super Saiyan 1. Therefore, if he would have stayed in regular non-Super Saiyan form, Goku's Super Saiyan 2 cock might have just...
torn him.
Cleft him in twain, yes.
So, he pushed his hips hard against Goku's pistoning ones, making the larger man fall back onto the hard ground, and rode him hard and fast, flashing up to level 2 himself so he could increase his speed. Goku screeched and arched up against the smaller man, gripping his hips in a bruising hold and digging his nails, making the blood flow down the prince's hips, the scent of the red liquid permeating the air, joining with the scent of sweat, sex, and dirt, and
Jesus, this guy is really into fluids.
Increasing the vigor of the animalistic fucking. Vegeta was out of his mind from pleasure, and the power flowing in and out of him, and he lurched forward onto Goku and sank his teeth into his shoulder, making Goku yelp and flash up to level 3. His hair grew, his brows lowered, and he flipped them over so Vegeta was on his back, spreading his legs wide and folding the prince in half. The prince, who was still attached to his shoulder and screaming into making blood gurgle against his face. So they continue to
What?
I don't know! There's blood gurgling somewhere. They keep going at it, bites littered their bodies and blood flowed freely. I didn't know they were vampires. Vegeta knew that Goku was going to come soon. The bites were getting deeper, and Goku's eyes were getting wilder and not a little frightening. It all ended in a burst of pleasure and power and screams, and an almost blinding light surrounding them and their cries. It all lasted for about a minute, but for them it was an eternity. When the power faded and the lights disappeared, the two of them were laying in a crater where the mountain used to be, back to their normal states, naked, covered in blood, cum, sweat, and completely satisfied.
The fluids!
Gross. Super gross. I'm really happy for anybody out there who's into fluids, but they literally make me gag. So, they're like laying there, asking if they're alive. The other one, Vegeta asks if Goku feels better now, and Goku says no. And Vegeta's offended, and he says, 17 years, Vegeta. I'm gonna need more than one glorious fuck from you to level it out, Goku purred. And the pushed back into the prince's loose body, which arched and let out a surprised scream of pleasure. So, in spite of the bizarre sentence structure, I'm going to assume that he just somehow managed to get it up again in this time and push it back into...
Or it just never went down.
...the loosened hole. Yeah, I guess that's
the thing, too.
Possibility, yeah. I mean, at this point, it's got to be like, the proverbial hot dog down a hallway. But, what do I know?
Here's a saying. They tend to become stronger after exerting themselves. So every time you fuck Vegeta's butthole as hard as you possibly can, it just
It's going to be even
and
tighter?
Yep.
Well, good thing. They fucked for hours. Both taking turns to top, and both bloody and battered before the sun started to set, and their energy with it. It ended with Vegeta riding Goku to completion once more, and falling exhausted onto the other man's bloody, sweaty chest.
This guy's really got a fluid thing.
In the end, they decide to leave their wives and move in together, and that's the end.
I don't know why that was the funniest part to me, but it was.
It actually says the end.
Okay, I mean, the rest of that, like, if you buy the fact that Vegeta and Goku are gay, or at least bi-curious or whatever, then the rest of that makes sense. But all that shit leading up to it, where they're
So that was your biggest
where
issue
they're
with
like
it?
leaning on each other and whatever, that's not the way they were. That's not their
I
personalities
didn't,
at all.
like, I've hardly seen any of the show at all. But it didn't seem to me like they were the kind of bros who would, like, cuddle with each other
not
just for
even
fun.
close. Not even close. I mean, Goku with certain people, like, if that was Goku and Krillin, like, sure, I'd buy it. But not Goku and Vegeta. Not Vegeta and anybody, ever.
Not a cuddly guy?
No.
Maybe
not
he
in the
secretly
least.
is, though.
He's really not.
But he might
Did you read
secretly-
the other story where he didn't say a word the entire
Yeah,
time?
I did.
I said that was the most realistic thing that
All
I'd
right.
ever read.
Okay.
Trust me, Vegeta is not one for that sort of thing.
All right.
Well,
Yeah, so again,
That was quite
I
a
picked
story you
this
had
one, for the cuddling because I wanted to see if that was canon, the purring because I wanted to see if that was canon, and also because all the fluids gross me out, and so I felt like sharing it with everybody else.
that was something else, all right. I appreciate it. Fusion is a concept that's introduced later on in Dragon Ball Z, wherein two characters, if their keys are properly aligned, can do a funny dance, and then they fuse into one being for a period of 30 minutes.
What's the funny dance like?
You stand about, I'm going to say 15 feet away from each other. Mm-hmm. You make some hand motions, and you go, fusion, and then you move towards each other, and you point your pointer fingers on both hands towards each other, and they touch. And when they touch, you go, ha! And then you morph into one being. So that's the silly dance.
That's pretty silly.
I know.
lie.
That's why I said it was a silly dance.
Does it like when their fingers touch? Is it like a dink?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. If I'm remembering correctly, anyway. It's been a long time. But you fuse into one being for a period of 30 minutes. And when I mentioned this to Kira, she got pretty excited because of all the slash potential therein.
True story.
And for my last story, it's taken to a gross, or totally not, depending on how you look at it, I suppose, extreme. The name of this one is A Fusion Experiments by Merme, I'm going to guess, M-I-R-M-E, on an archive of our own. So, Pan and Bra are in space on a spaceship with Goten and Trunks. And the girls, Pan and Bra, witness a strange alien sex ritual that makes them want to have sex for the first time. So, since we haven't mentioned, I don't think, any of these characters yet.
I did. Two of those names sound familiar to me. I
I'm
think I
going to
might
break
have
them
looked two of
down
those
just
up.
real quick. Pan is the daughter of Videl, who is an exceptionally strong human, but she's just a human, and
She
Gohan.
was introduced to the sex group in my first
She was in
story.
the lesbian sex orgy. But she's the daughter of Videl and Gohan, who is Goku's oldest son.
So this is Goku's grandchild?
Goku's grandchild.
Okay.
Correct. Is Pan.
This is a lot like a soap opera, I hate to tell you.
It's a soap opera for dudes. 13-year-old dudes. Bra is the daughter of Vegeta and Bulma, who you've met both of them by now, and is a continuation of the underwear pun naming scheme for Bulma's family.
I also read about that. But I think, like, bra is really...
I mean, it's not even really much of a pun. I suppose in Japanese it's more of a pun than it is in English.
I guess.
Goten is Goku's younger son, who is about of the same age as these other characters, even though he's Goku's son instead of Gohan's
It happens.
son. And Trunks is the son of Vegeta and Bulma.
I knew that.
And again, same underwear pun.
Oh, ha.
So, Pan and Bra...
What kind of a pun is pan?
Pan isn't a pun.
Oh, okay.
Well, it is kind of a pun in that you cook food in it. Gohan's family is all food puns, and Bulma's family is all underwear puns.
The show is the dumbest thing that's ever happened.
So, the four of them are out on a spaceship exploring the galaxy. And they visit a planet where there is a strange sex ceremony where all of the denizens of this planet who have come of sexual maturity all have sex in this big ceremony while everybody watches. And the 4 of them are there while this
if
happens.
everybody's doing it?
Well, no, just the people who are newly sexual mature are doing it.
All right, gotcha.
And Pan and Bra especially watch this, but they don't participate, even though the aliens invite them to, as they understand that they have recently come to sexual maturity in their own cultures, on their own planet. But they decide not to because they're both virgins and they don't want to do something that weird the first time. But they watched it, and now they start talking about having sex for the first time because they're now young adults and they're thinking about it. And, Bra asked impatiently as Pan got lost in her thoughts, "Do you think it hurts?" "I don't know," Pan shrugged. "I mean, I know it's supposed to hurt the girl the first time because of the tearing in the hymen, and it's probably painful other times if the guy's too big or the girl's not prepared. But from what Mom said, it's not nearly as bad as being blasted or such." Which, now, blasted in this context means key blasted, as in someone shot a bolt of energy at you.
I bet it does.
It does not mean a cum shot, but... also, in this particular story, Bra is supposedly a warrior, whereas in the actual canon, she's not really. She's more like Bulma, where she's just like on the side. She's like more of a scientist, intellectual. She doesn't really fight. But in this, she fights.
I was going to say that's offensive, but I guess if she's a scientist, intellectual, it's not really offensive.
No, not really.
So I retract my offense.
So my first thought was that we were getting a little granular with the hymen there, that you bring it up so specifically, and I thought it was a little weird, but the hymen becomes very important later in this story.
You know, you apparently don't read a lot of loss of virginity stories.
I certainly
which
don't.
Which is a tag on Archive of Our Own. Not that I've looked.
So the girls, as they're talking about this, they notice a weird key signature aboard their spaceship, and they go to check it out, and they find that Goten and Trunks have fused into Gotenks. And so they didn't recognize the key because it was Gotenks' key and
Gotenks?
Gotenks.
Can you spell that for me?
Gotenks. Like Goten, and then the end of Trunks.
Okay. So
Gotenks.
It is that simple.
Yes,
okay.
It is that simple.
All right.
All fused names are that easy. Gogeta is Goku and Vegeta. That easy.
Gotcha.
So they didn't recognize it at first because technically, when you do the fusion ha dance, the person you become it's a completely different person from the two of you that made up the fusion in the first place.
I'm afraid I might see where this is going.
You may see where this is going.
Oh, gross.
So they go to the training chamber to find out what's going on, and they find that Gotenks is there, and he talks about how badass he is. And the girls ask the boys to teach them how to fuse. And since Bra and Pan are like so totally in sync, they managed to figure it out in like almost no time at all because they're besties and everything. And so then they fuse into Bran. And at this point, the two fused beings have a bit of a spar. At one point, Gotenks gets Bran pinned. And then she uses the totally bullshit unfair move of kissing him to throw him off and then pinning him herself. And almost as soon as this happens, the 30-minute time limit for the fusion wears off and they split apart. And now all 4 of them are just sitting around in a confused pile. And the boys think that this is fucking gross because they're brother, sister, and uncle, niece, respectively.
Yeah, I'm with the boys.
But the girls say that the fusion makes them not the same people, so it's not gross at all, duh. But the boys seem unconvinced. For Kami-sama's sake, Trunks, Bra stomped her foot on the ground. You should know better than us that a fusion is completely different from who we are. It's made up out of us, but it's a whole new person. Bran kissed Gotenks and won the spar. End of story. If it makes you feel better, Pan offered, you can pretend that your part of the fusion was kissing my part of the fusion. The same with Goten and Bra. Because that makes it so much better, Goten finally joined in the argument. Now I'm going to have nightmares of Vegeta finding out that I kissed his little girl. Come on, Goten, scared of my dad, Bra teased. Hell yes.
Every time you say bra, all I'm thinking is like dude bros. Like
B-R-U-H? Yeah. So afterwards, the girls further convinced themselves that the doesn't countsies rule on account of the places where they, of the fusion, because the places where they got punched earlier and there were bruises, after they've defused, there's no longer bruises. So
this is flimsy reasoning.
So it's not the same person at all, according to them. Therefore, what happens is Bran stays as Bran and doesn't count as something that either Bra or Pan did. At this point, you can probably guess where this is going. You guessed where it was going about 5 minutes ago.
Yes, I sure did.
They just have to convince the boys to feel the same way. But Goten and Trunks are not so easily convinced.
They are teen boys, aren't they?
Have you picked up some space drugs out there? Trunks demanded. Which...
Who wrote this?
It really made me laugh because it made me think of that scene in The Simpsons where the nerds are staying at the Simpson house and Marge comes out with the lemonade and she goes, "Who wants some Astro lemonade?" And one of the nerds goes, "What precisely makes it Astro?" And then Marge goes, "Look, I don't want to make a whole thing out of this." Same. That's exactly what I thought of when I said that. But anyway, so here's where the hymen that I mentioned before comes back into play. It's really the girl's trump card in convincing the boys to do this thing.
All right, I can...
So at this point, Bra, who is clearly the hornier of the two...
Clearly.
They corner the boys, and they say that if they don't do this, they're going to set down on the first planet that they find that has anything even remotely humanoid, and they're just going to fuck the shit out of the whole planet.
Why do the boys care? Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Of course, Pan added innocently, since we will do it as ourselves, it will be possible for our dads to find out that you failed as the chaperones. Maybe Dad will go Super Saiyan 3, she mused. At this point in the story, Vegeta hasn't gone Super Saiyan 3 yet.
Gotcha.
Oh, my dad will definitely go Super Saiyan 3, Bra agreed with her. Too bad that the physical we had gone through before we left had showed that our hymens are still intact.
What?
And you know they will insist on checking it all out after we come back.
Oh, God! No!
And when they ask, I won't lie about why it's not there anymore. The completely routine space hymen check. I've heard of that, haven't you?
Oh, God! Oh, gross! Who does that? Oh, God! That skeeves me out!
Of course, they continue. If you agree to the fused sex, we wouldn't have that problem, since after diffusing, our bodies would return back to normal. And it would satisfy our curiosity, so we would have no need to run out and try it on our own. That's blackmail, Goten pointed out, since Trunks still stared in horror at his sister.
It's also sexism.
Of course it is, Bra agreed pleasantly. We came up with it, after all. You won't back down from the idea, will you? Trunks asked quietly. Trunks really didn't put up a whole lot of a fight there, did he?
No.
Eventually the boys concede on the grounds that Vegeta will kill the Christ out of them if they let their daughter's hymen be broken. But you still know that they kind of want it, considering that they're like teenage boys. Yeah, right. So the two of them both go into their fusion ha dances, and they then begin to fight/wrestle. At which point Bran says, is that a power pole in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
Oh, my God.
I have no idea what a power pole is. It's probably some stupid gaijin bullshit. What's a power pole? I'm asking my producer.
From Dragonball.
You mean a bow staff?
They called it power pole. Stupid guy.
In your stupid gaijin bullshit? Okay, well then that's what it is.
So you were right.
I was right.
Thank you, producer.
I've written here, I have no idea what a power pole is. It might be one of those stupid fucking gaijin things. Apparently I was right. So they start to get into it. Wrestling turns into like making out a little bit and whatever. They start to like take off each other's clothes and whatnot.
Can I insert here and just say that I'm impressed that they decided to, like, even though they knew why they were transforming to do it, that they still kept up the pretense of like wrestling a bit. Like,
yeah.
That's dedication. Or maybe it's making it a little less weird for them. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, it probably got the boys into it a little bit more. Right. Because it mentioned in the first fight when they kissed the boy, or singular, whatever, how it seemed like he really enjoyed it, but he wouldn't admit the fact that he did. So it's probably the way of getting him more into it. So after they've been at it for a little bit, Gotenks glanced at the clock and saw that Moore had 5 minutes had already passed. They needed to pick up their tempo or they would never finish on time. Pushing his own pants off, he rolled over on his side, pulling Bran along. You crazy kids and your half hours of sex. We need to be quick, he explained, and she nodded distractedly. Her gaze focused on his lower half. He smirked proudly. Saiyans, in general, tended to be well endowed, and since he was the amazing Gotenks, it stood to reason that his manhood would be a sight to behold.
Oh, God.
Bran gulped a bit.
A bit of it? No?
It's not what it says, but sure. Okay, I'm getting scared, she said before Gotenks tilted her head a bit. It was your idea, he pointed out. Yeah, but we can stop if you want, he offered, but she shook her head. No, I'm not backing out. I knew it would most likely hurt. We are doing this. She nodded decisively.
This is so sexy. That's sarcasm.
Other than that, the sex pretty much rolls out without a lot of bizarre stuff happening until we get to... He could already smell how her arousal was skyrocketing and decided it was time to take it off.
That grosses me out almost as much as fluids.
Even I here wrote you. But anyway, it's time to get back to the hymen. As he tears through the hymen quickly with his finger. Romance.
This whole thing is very romantic and very sexy, I really have to say.
They moved together, trying to ignore the fact that time was running out. Gotenks looked at the clock. Only 8 minutes left! He moved faster, letting go of his control and starting to ram Bran with his speed and strength well over what a human could do or handle. But Bran welcomed the increase in intensity, the roughness of the act appealing to her for some reason, and she moved her hips in tempo with him. She wanted to get off, to see if an orgasm from intercourse was better than one from masturbation, and felt it coming. But did they have enough time to make it? They would have to. Go super, she ordered, and Gotenks faltered in surprise. What? Go super while in me, I can handle that. She locked her legs over the small of his back, digging her heels in. Do it! As you wish. He grinned as he gathered the necessary energy and let his ki explode from him, turning his head gold, his eyes turquoise, and bulging all of his muscles simultaneously. Bran let her head fall back, a keening sound escaping her lips as the swelling of his shaft inside her, and the caresses of his ki all over her body brought her to an orgasm unlike any other. Her inner muscles spasmed violently, her whole body contorting and relaxing. It set off a chain reaction in Gotenks, who followed her over the edge shortly after, and they both thrashed together, their bodies joined imminently until the wave of the climax washed over them, leaving them spent. That was great, Bran moaned out, and felt an agreeing huff against her neck. Thanks, she murmured. You are welcome. Gotenks pulled out of her and rolled over. Too spent to stand up. Just as their breathing started to return to normal, there was a double pop that signified the end of the fusion. 2 men and 2 girls were laying in a place where their alter egos had just engaged in a passionate fusion of a different kind.
Ew. Oh, God.
All of them were clothed again, further confirming the theory that whatever happened while in a fused state didn't carry over to the normal states. But the fact didn't stop the situation from being extremely awkward.
You don't say.
Add to that the fact that the room was infused with the smell of sex.
Ew, ew, ew. Where'd all their fluids go?
I would assume they were split up evenly, but add to the fact that the room was infused with the smell of sex and neither party exactly knew where to look. Well, Bra said at last when she sat up, that was fun. Pan snorted and climbed to her feet. I think the rest of us is too embarrassed to talk about it yet, so see you later, Trunks, Goten. Yeah, see you, Bra seconded as she followed her friend out. Another silence permeated the room before the 2 half-Saiyans finally got the guts to meet each other eye to eye. We're fucked, Trunks stated, blind to the potential irony. Goten only nodded. You said it, Trunks, you said it. The end. So, my final question of the evening for you. Mm-hmm. Is it incest?
Yes.
Or is it not?
It totally is.
It totally is?
It totally is.
But it totally is not. The hymens carry over. The hymens totally get preserved.
It doesn't matter. Like I was saying with the fluids, where'd they go? Like, if bruises don't stay, where is that ejaculate? Did it disappear?
I mean, I guess that's for Akira Toriyama to answer. We should write him an email.
Please.
And ask.
I wonder if he's ever gotten that one. Totally. And also the way that the author had to keep reassuring his or herself that it was totally not incest means that it absolutely is.
My thought is the same. I never bought the whole fusion makes a whole new person kind of thing.
I mean, and if they still remember it, like, it's still them.
Right. That was always my thought, too, but I wanted to run it by you since you're more experienced in these matters. Not
I think that's
related,
totally incest.
Yeah, I did, too, but it's fake incest, so it's not quite as bad.
Fake incest?
I mean, those people don't actually exist.
Right. Well,
they're space aliens from a cartoon, so they're not real.
Sure. Yes. I agree with you that they do not exist.
Do you have any final thoughts you want to express?
I mean, I have a lot of I don't know. This was a pretty crazy one. You found a good one. I like it.
I thought so. I liked it.
Well, maybe like's the wrong word.
Yeah, like probably is the very wrong word. I apologize for saying those things right now.
Wow. I liked the wrap up there. I thought that was kind of
About how
nice.
everyone was very awkward at the end?
Yeah.
It seems somewhat realistic,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I would say that. Also, I feel like I had another question about this interaction here, but they were all fully clothed afterwards even?
When you come out of the fusion, you're still wearing your clothes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the Dragon Ball universe here.
Fair point.
But yes, even when, like, Gogeta, for example, is fighting Boo, and parts of his gi get blown off because the fight is so intense, when they defuse, they're still fully clothed. So, that is canonical.
Also, I really liked, like I said, the pure romance in this story.
Yeah,
like,
it was very, very...
I was envisioning it with, like, you know, like, Bejeweled when you're, like, running out of time and it has, like, the sound to, like, make your heart rate go up because you gotta panic and hurry up. Like, I imagine that's what their lovemaking was kind of like.
I just like that they were like, oh my god, we only have 30 minutes. What am I going to do? I'm a 17-year-old boy who's never had sex before. I might
It's certainly going to take at least that long.
I might not be able to finish in a half an hour. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've got these dudes, coming in their spandex pants.
Exactly. Yeah, if only they knew what their dads were doing at the time.
I like to think this took place at the exact same time. Can we go with that? Yeah.
In our headcanon.
Yeah,
That's exactly
yeah.
what we can do.
They come back from wherever they are in space, and their dads have moved in together and have a lot of bite wounds.
And they have a lot of things to explain at school. So thank you very much for listening. Please email us at slashandburnpod@gmail.com and or Twitter us at slashandburnpod. I think we're looking for some theme music.
Yes.
So if you have something you'd like to hear at the beginning and end of every episode and you don't mind us using it, send us our way. Our producer will get right on it. Thanks to our listeners, my friend and her wife and our producer. Also my wife, who's not a producer, but who sits there making judgmental faces and flipping us off the whole time.
She also laughs a lot, which is encouraging.
And certainly not to mention everybody who writes all of this stuff, because there's no way in hell that we could do this without you. So for the Slash and Burn podcast, Dragon Ball Universe episode, my name's Steve.
And I'm Kira.
And thanks for listening, everybody.